Hi, agents. I'm Mariah. I work for Agents Invest. Today, I have Nate Shields. He is the agent sales rep for Bigger Pockets. He is also an investor and a licensed real estate agent in Colorado. Welcome, Nate.
Thank you, Mariah. I am excited to be here. Excited to chat about all things investing, bigger pockets, all that stuff.
Yeah. All right. Let's jump in. So, why don't you tell us first kind of how you got into real estate?
Yeah, so this goes back to around the Great Recession. I was working a marketing job that I did not like. Um, I actually talked with a real estate agent just to see what it would take to get into the business. I just wanted to start part time. And he said, it's really hard to do it. It's really expensive. And he basically talked me out of it. And, and it was really discouraging. But about a year later, I still kind of had that dream to get into real estate on the sales side. And saw on LinkedIn in my alumni group that someone was looking for part time agents. And I was like, oh, well, that's what I'm looking for. So I had breakfast with him. We hit it off. I started working for his brokerage about 4 months later. And then my goal was by the end of 2014 to quit my job and go full-time real estate. And within about 8 months, I'd actually accomplished that goal. I had a hard deadline because that's when our son was being born. And I was like, I want to have control of my time by the time our first child is here. And so
I love it.
um, was able to make that transition into sales full time. And it took a couple years though before I even heard about investing. Like I knew it in the back of my mind when I was much younger, early 20s. I had read Rich Dad Poor Dad and the Cash Flow Quadrant, and those books really helped change my mindset around things. Is probably a big reason why I was so not happy in my marketing job. And just looking for that thing. Like I knew I had to go from employee to self-employed to business owner and investor.
Right.
And real estate just made sense to me. And I remember thinking it would be so cool to have 10 or 20 rental properties someday. Put renters in there, they pay all the expenses, and eventually they get paid off, and then you just have all this cash flow. Like it just made sense, and I think it makes sense to a lot of people that look to get into real estate investing, and that's why they pursue that. And so it took about 2 years though before a property manager friend of mine, he texted me uh, a link to the most recent Bigger Pockets podcast, and this was back in 2015, I think.
Mhm.
And at that time, they were on like episode number 115, 120, something like that. But I listened to that episode and it just like floored me, just totally captured me. And then I went down the rabbit hole. I listened to all the podcast episodes back to number one, and then caught back up and then just kept up with it. And I read some books, went on the forums to ask questions and learn more about things. I talked with my buddy, and around the same time, he was thinking about doing real estate investing too. He already had a little bit of experience on the commercial side with some of his family's deals.
Okay.
And so we partnered up, both put some cash on the table. We found a lender to work with, and we got our first deal in 2016. And it was a full gut rehab. It was an auction property, foreclosure, the whole nine yards. And it was just that's kind of where the journey started as far as the investing side of things went.
Yeah, wonderful. Yeah, it's funny. I mean, I started the same way, listening to Bigger Pockets. I'm not even sure how I found the podcast originally, but went down the wormhole and listened to one, and then got hooked and couldn't stop. Listened to all of them back to back, as many as I could, and learning as much as I could about investing at that point. So, how did you start working for them in your journey?
Yeah, so I was a full-time agent for 6 years, and obviously did investing along the way. And so we had the buy and holds. We had on the side, I flipped some properties, did some wholesale deals, and did some other entrepreneurial stuff. When we had moved from the Chicago area up to Madison, um, right when we got there, basically the pandemic hit, and I had gotten my Wisconsin license. I was planning to sell real estate, but a couple of things changed in the market. One was I was in a brand new market, and so I didn't really want to start my business from scratch at that point. And then the pandemic hit, and just that the market shift of going to like multiple offers over at, I didn't want to work with a bunch of frustrated buyers, having to show them 20 properties, put in 20 offers, maybe they get one accepted. And so at that point, I kind of put that on the back burner, just focused a little bit on investing in a couple other side businesses I had.
Okay.
And I did let my license go, currently getting my license back now in Colorado. So
Mhm.
that's kind of the journey on that side. But it was early last year. I applied for a position at Bigger Pockets, and I always told my wife, I'm not great W-2 material, and I told her, the only company I would ever consider working for would be Bigger Pockets. And
Uh-huh.
so it's kind of a funny story because our real estate investor group in Madison, so I had never heard back. I applied for the position. I thought I was a great fit for it, and then never heard back. Uh, and there was like no way to contact the company. So um, what happened was one of our co-founders of the real estate investment group, he had come out to Denver to some sort of boot camp event or something. Scott Trench happened to be there, who's the CEO of Bigger
Mhm.
Pockets. He talked to
Great.
Scott. They connected on Instagram, and he was like, "Hey, could you just hop on Zoom for an hour for our investor meetup sometime just to chat about some stuff, give us some knowledge." And so of course I showed up, and he gave out his personal email or his work email address at that time. And so I emailed him the next day. I was like, "Hey Scott, thanks for showing up last night. It was a lot of fun. I applied for this position a couple of months ago, never heard back. I assume you filled it, or maybe I wasn't the best fit for it." But then he said, "Well, let me look into it." Next day, I had an interview. 2 days later, I had another interview and was hired. So this was last spring when I started working for Bigger Pockets, and uh, everything that you would think about Bigger Pockets to be true is like, it's a great company culture, a lot of smart, talented people that work there, and that's why the products that we have and everything that we have going on, especially on the educational and content side, is so
Mhm.
good because we have a lot of good people here.
Sure. Yeah. Well, let's hear about it. So,
Yeah.
how can agents leverage their business with bigger pockets?
Yeah, there are so many different ways to go with this, but yeah, let's focus on agents today. So just kind of rewinding a little bit, when I started investing, I wanted to work with more investors. Like, I was kind of tired of the retail side, even though that helped pay the bills. But what I really enjoyed, what my passion was investing and working with investors. And so I tried to shift my business in that direction, and I only knew a couple ways to do that, which I'll show in just a minute. But one of the ways, obviously, get involved in like a real estate investor meetup. And so at the time, there was um, nothing really close to me. I was kind of very far west, Chicago suburbs, and there was nothing close. I didn't want to really drive an hour to participate in one of the other RIAs, so I started my own. And two things that I think are really cool about that is, one, when you start your own, you have complete control over it. And so
Okay.
I recommend this to anyone, even if you have other good real estate investor groups in your area.
Mhm.
It's really cool to start your own because you have control over it. You can make it very informal. You could make it more formal. You can bring in whatever guest speakers you want, or you
Yeah.
can just grab drinks and talk shop. Like, it can be whatever you want it to be. Um, I think it's important to, if you do join one or have one, that it's just a very collaborative atmosphere. Just helping out people. Usually, that there's a very diverse group of people in these groups. You've got agents, you've got investors, you've got lenders, private money lenders, contractors. I mean, it runs
Mhm.
the gamut, and everyone's looking to do something different. And everyone can kind of help each other out. There was, in Madison, when I did a wholesale deal, we had 3 people in the group, actually 4, myself included, that were part of this wholesale deal. So I found it, and then I was assigning it, or we were actually doing a double close to two of my buddies who were in a brokerage together. And then we both used, because it was double closed, we both used the same private money lender on both sides of the transaction. And so
Wow.
everyone won, everyone made a lot of money, and just kind of worked together. So that's the power of when you
I
have
love
groups
That's
like
very
that.
creative. I love those deals. Those are
Yeah,
awesome.
they're so good.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, I encourage people to, start their own. And the other thing about starting your own is that even if you're not, maybe you're a brand new investor, brand new agent, it doesn't matter. You're the one that's in charge of this group and bringing people together. So you're looked at as the connector or as the expert, even if you're not the expert.
Right.
And so that can bring a lot of good things to you too, because people will just see you as maybe, a step above in some regards there,
Mhm.
and want to connect with you and do business with you too. So that's kind of one of the first things. The other thing I did was I just spent time on Bigger Pockets forums, and I'll get into that in just a minute here. But just connecting with people.
Yeah.
There's a way to search for people. There's a way to use keywords and things like that. So I think I'll just hop into that now.
Sure.
So I'm going to go over some of these strategies, and then we'll get into some other stuff. So there's a ton of free ways to do this, and then there's also some paid ways to take advantage of Bigger Pockets. All right, can everyone see my screen?
Yes, we should be viewable.
All right. Okay, perfect. So here I am. I'm on Bigger Pockets. I want to rewind a little bit too, just to give anyone who doesn't really know the full picture of Bigger Pockets. It was started 18 years ago, and so we've been around for a while. We've got 2.4 million members, and it's mostly U.S. based. We do have some Canadians as well, but it's mostly U.S. based. And so we have a very large footprint. Most of this, circles around education. So we have, some of the biggest podcasts. If you go to the real estate category, we're usually number one or two. So if you look here, like in education, yeah, we've got the real estate podcast. That's our main flagship one. We've got the money podcast, the rookie, daily, on the market, which is my personal favorite. And then we have the Invest Her podcast as well. So that's everything on the podcast side. A lot of agents I talk to daily, that's usually how people find out about it. They just, they heard, just like I did, someone texts them an episode, or they hear about it somehow. We also have a YouTube channel that has, we have 3 different YouTube channels with over 1 million subscribers. And then we have tons of books. We have 40 published books, I think, with more coming all the time. And so we have tons of stuff on the educational side, because that's where most people are starting their journey. And then there's stuff like networking. Like I was talking about, we got a meetups tab. We've got recommended vendors, so many tools and so many things. We have boot camps, resources. We've got the blog. There's a million different ways to get involved and to learn. And that's where you got to start. Our CEO, Scott, has said that the average user on Bigger Pockets is spending between 100 and 500 hours in educating themselves in real estate investing before they even pull the trigger on their first deal. So the people on here, the investors on here, are committed to doing that, and they enjoy doing that, and they're
Mhm.
highly educated before they even go after the first deal, which is a really good thing if you're an investor friendly agent, to have that pool of committed investors that know what they're doing, instead of just some random person off the street that's like, I'm going to go invest in real estate. Let's go make 50 lowball offers. That's not what most investor friendly agents want to do, right? So the highly educated group, and it's a fairly wealthy group. 25% of the members on Bigger Pockets are actually accredited,
Mhm.
and the other 75%, the average income is close to 6 figures. So we have a lot of people that are both educated and have the ability to transact. So I wanted to hop into a couple things. First, I'll just go into my profile here, just to give you a rundown of what you can do with your profile. If there are 3 different ways to start on Bigger Pockets. We have a free membership, a pro membership like what I've got, and then we have a premium membership. So free is fairly self-explanatory. You can do almost everything on the site except for a few things. And so with pro, You get access to all the resources. You get unlimited access to the calculators, which is what I really end up using the most when I'm analyzing deals. I'll throw them in the calculators. At the free level, I think you get maybe 3, 4, 5 freebies, and then it's gone. So the pro is worth it just for the calculators, in my opinion, if you're analyzing deals, or if you're helping clients analyze deals, or presenting something to another investor or a lender. If you have like a flip and you're like, this is going to be our cash on cash return or ROI, whatever numbers you like to present, you can make these really nice presentations with the calculators. They can even be branded to you as well. So a couple things on a profile, you can put some pictures up here, you can put a video, have your little bio here, what company you work for, what real estate brokerage you work for. It'll show your recent forum activity, any credentials you might have, like if you're some sort of specialist. And then you can show your investments too. So here are some of the investments I've done over the years. And it's just a good way to have like an online business card in the investing community. And the more complete it is, the more likely people are probably going to connect with you.
Yeah, I actually have a pro account as well.
What's that?
I have a pro account as well. Yeah, it's
nice.
worth it. It's worth it. And it's nice for people to see that little pro designation,
Yes.
I think it's helpful when you have investors out there looking to connect with you and you have the little pro badge.
Yeah, absolutely. And then the next level above that is premium. We'll get into that a little bit later. The premium is another step above. It gives you two things. One is it gives you kind of a lead capture, and it gives you like a pretty robust company profile as well. And so that can be helpful, but I'll dig into that in a little bit. So what I was doing when I was trying to, get in front of more investors, I first set up my keyword alerts. So if you go into your account settings, you can add these keyword alerts. And so, most agents are very, sensitive to their geographic area and where they do business. So I would encourage you to just go in there, set up as many keywords as you want. So I would suggest all the cities and towns you work in, any of the suburbs, as well as put in like the zip codes, because sometimes people will search by zip code, and then anything you might be interested in. So you might be interested in short-term rentals. So put in stuff like short-term rental, Airbnb, AirDNA, STR, any of those keywords. So that stuff pops up and you can contribute then in the forum. So you can set up your notifications to get updates. Here's the keyword alerts instantly, daily, or weekly. So if you don't want a ton of alerts coming through, you can have it set up different ways. But typically, the first person to like comment on a post is going to get a little more love from the original poster. So instantly is good if you can do that. And then, one thing I recommend to people, you can add value and answer questions. That's a great way to participate. But a lot of the other members on Bigger Pockets, they have their keyword alerts set up too. And so what I really like doing is making my own post. And again, this kind of goes back to like that meetup. Like why host your own meetup? It's because you're in control of it and you get to say what's going on. So you can create a new post. You can select a category and select your location if it has it, and then put in your title. You could say short-term rentals. Think about what other keywords people are going to be using on the site. Short-term rentals, Airbnb, and the data behind the downturn or something like that. You can put whatever you want here, and then make your post. And anyone who has those keyword alerts set up, whether it's the location, short-term rentals, Airbnb, Airbnb data, whatever their keywords might be, and then whatever your post says, that will be they will be alerted if they have their keyword alert set up, but also it's searchable. So anytime someone goes in 2 years from now and is searching for Fort Collins Airbnb info and they come on my post, they still might contact me. In fact, I still get leads to this day from a post I make I made 5 years ago. So this stuff is evergreen and it lives there for, as long as we're alive. But so it should be there for a while. We've been around for a while so far. So yeah, that's a great way to do that. So I encourage agents to, post as often as you feel comfortable, at least, once a week. It doesn't take long to maybe pull some data from the MLS, or you can just tell a story about what you've seen going on, what was your latest deal, whatever you want it to be. It's a great way to leverage bigger pockets and the community to get in contact with people. Now, one thing I will mention about bigger pockets, we do have a lot of moderators, and definitely, read the forum rules, because you can get slapped on the wrist, and I have gotten slapped on the wrist before. So the main one that people get in trouble for is just self-promotion. There is no self-promotion on the site. However, if you're adding value, which is really the whole point of the forums and of bigger pockets, then people are going to want to get in touch with you. But if you're saying you're the best agent in Denver, you're going to get flagged for that. So just be careful on that kind of stuff.
Right.
And then I will show you just a couple things here in the forums. So, if let's go to like one of the trending topics here. So again, we have forums on all sorts of different things, and you can find a million different ways to use the site. But okay, so let's go into this post here, Coastal Carolina STRs. And so the original poster, they post, and then there's going to be people who will answer questions or give their feedback, things like that. There's a couple things I want to point out. One is, if you're a free member or even a pro member like you and I, there's still not like a really smooth, easy way to get in touch with us. Like if you want to connect, I have to click on this, then I have to click on connect, then I have to wait for this guy to see the notification either on Bigger Pockets or in his email, and he may or may not see that, and then you can't message him until he does. So the problem with that obviously is, like, we want to touch with people like now. So so what you'll notice though with someone who's a premium member, if we can find one, here we go. So the premium membership, like I said, it's more expensive, but the biggest thing is that you can get in contact with them right away if you have it set up in your signature. So this guy doesn't, but Tyler does. So if I like Tyler's attitude, he seems like a good guy. Oh, and I don't have to go through this lengthy contact process. I can just contact him right here, and then it will take me right here. I put in my phone number, click next, answer a couple questions, and then that agent will get that lead. So the premium membership is $1,200 a year, but if you're spending time on the forums and making posts and answering posts, things like that, a lot of agents actually leverage that by spending a lot of time and energy to do it, but they get enough leads for their business, or at least supplements leads from other parts of their business. So that's probably, that's like the middle tier way to get in touch with people. So you got the free way, and then this way I think is more of a power move, where you are spending a little bit of money, but you're going to have more leads coming into you because it's just easier. There's no friction there. Mm-hmm. And then the shortcut, and what I do on a daily basis, the shortcut is using the Find an Agent tool. And so we have this program called the Featured Agent Program. And basically what it's doing is it's connecting investors from Bigger Pockets with investor-friendly agents. And when an investor is ready to connect, like I said, they've already had at least 100 hours of education, they're ready to go. What they're going to do is click this Find an Agent tab, and then they'll put in the city or the zip code. I'm just going to use a fictional one just so we don't screw up any analytics here. But we ask them 7 questions, location being the first one, and they have to answer all of these questions before getting shown our featured agent page. So it's kind of like this pre-vetting process that they have to go through. And so we're asking basic questions that any good investor-friendly agent is going to ask of a prospect. So we'll just go through this quickly. When are you looking to purchase? What's your price range? Where are you at in the loan process?
Hmm.
How many investments do you have? This is kind of an interesting question. I'll just pause here for a second. We actually crunched the numbers on this one, and about 50% are looking for their first deal, and then the other 50% are experienced. And there's a way to leverage that if you are part of the featured agent program to connect with one or the other. Because some people like working with new investors because they're hoping to get that lifetime client, and they like helping out the newbies.
Okay.
Whereas other ones that are like, I don't want to, I don't want to mess with newbies. I
Hand
don't want to hold
holding.
their hands. And
Yeah.
yeah. So I only want to work with people who have already done deals. So
Hmm.
that's kind of an interesting one there. And then they have to give us their contact info. I have the ability to put in a fake number though. So for the this optional message box, what's interesting is most people actually fill this out. So they might say, hey, we just sold our primary and we're moving, and we'd like to house hack a duplex, something along those lines. And it gives a little more context. So it's already a fairly warm lead because it's from within the Bigger Pockets community, but then you have all this data as well that you'll be able to see. So this is a fictional page, but this is basically what it looks like. And they're going to see a handful of agents. And then the unique thing about it is that they get to select who they want to work with. So if I think Tiamo is the best fit, I'm going to request contact from her. But if I think Andy might be a better fit for me, I'll request contact from Andy. And so what I encourage people to do is be very specific with who you do work with, who you don't work with, what your experience is. Because some of our agents, like they might only work with short-term rental investors. If they put that in there and that's exactly what that investor wants to do, that's connecting you with your perfect lead. It's going to be much better for you than having a very vanilla profile saying I work with anyone from anywhere and we do everything. It's just
Yeah.
not that compelling to most investors. They're looking to do something very specific
Very
usually.
specific. Everybody has a strategy, right?
Exactly. So I mean that's kind of the process that the investor goes through, and then
Hmm.
when they request contact from one of our featured agents, they get a text message, an email, and a notification on Bigger Pockets. Um, and basically, we sell the leads in bundle of 25. What that just means is that we guarantee 25 leads in your market as long as we see the data there that there are leads coming through, and then it would just auto renew into a fresh bundle of leads once you get to that 25th lead, unless you tell us otherwise. We don't have any contracts or anything like that. So that's that program in a nutshell. But those are like some of the biggest ways where you can leverage Bigger Pockets. I would say that there's a couple other ways too that could be a little more work, but they can be really powerful.
Okay.
One is you can write uh, in the there's a members blog section, so you can just write your own posts. But if you wanted to apply to write for Bigger Pockets in the Bigger Pockets blog, there's a few more requirements there. Not everyone gets in, but if you're a good writer and you have a lot of experience in the space or maybe a particular niche,
Hmm.
writing for Bigger Pockets can be a good thing because that gets blasted out. Not only does it live on Bigger Pockets, but that gets blasted out to 500,000 people via email every week
Right.
or
And
every
these
time.
are like blog articles.
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah, these are blog articles that we post, and so most of it's very relevant info that's current, either
Hmm.
pulling from current data or what we see going on the market, or it can be stuff like how to buy how to house hack your first duplex and things like that too.
Right. And that's a cool strategy because then you are putting yourself out there as, yeah, I'm an expert, at this or in this market or, what have you. So you're kind of putting yourself out there on the map, which is pretty cool. Well,
Yeah,
so you
yeah.
showed us kind of the investor side, but how does an agent go about becoming one of these featured agents on the Bigger Pockets website?
Yeah, I mean, the first thing to do, I would say, just get in touch with me. You can email me, nateshields@biggerpockets.com. We
Okay.
can just set up a quick call and see if there's, um, first of all, if there's space in your market, because we do already have 750 featured agents across the country, in several hundred different markets. But we'll check if there's space, and then we'll check if we actually have leads coming through as well in your market. Because there are some markets that are maybe more rural, where
Okay.
we just don't have the lead volume, and I'm not going to sell you a lead bundle there because it's going to take 2 years to get through it or something like that. I would say our average lead bundle probably takes, uh, 3 to 4 months in an average market to go through those 25 leads, to deliver those 25 leads to you.
Hmm. Wonderful. Okay. Is there anything else that you think agents, should know that would help them as far as working with bigger pockets or putting themselves out there?
Well, I mean, it all comes down to ROI. And so you're either going to be putting in time, energy, or money. And it depends on where you're at in your business, what you feel comfortable with doing, then calculate what that ROI is. And some things take longer and some things are shorter. And usually when you're paying money, think that your time frame is shortened quite a bit. Whereas if you're making posts on the forums, you might get a lead in a few months. You might get one sooner, but it's going to take more time to build up those things. And again, they're searchable. So the more you post, I mean, some of our power users that are out there, they have
Mhm.
thousands, tens of thousands of posts.
Wow.
Don't let that be like a detriment to you. But if you're posting, once a day, that's after a year, that's 365 posts
It's a
that
lot.
live there
Yeah.
forever. So it doesn't take that long to chime in. I mean, how long does it take to write a text or an email? You already have this knowledge in your heads,
Hmm.
and so that's one way to do it. And then there's the paid way, either by utilizing premium or by utilizing the featured agent program. One thing I didn't mention is all of our featured agents do get premium for free. So that $1,200 a year is included within your lead package.
Yeah. Yeah, that's awesome. I mean, these are fantastic. He's giving us fantastic tips on how to grow our businesses. I mean, really, if you can, block out an hour or so even per week or per day, however much you have as far as time to do that, and go on and go in these forums, go to these Facebook pages. I know Bigger Pockets has a Facebook page, go to these areas, really answer questions, be in there, be active. And it is amazing how much just generate, you can generate so many conversations and so much interest just in that little piece. It's pretty awesome.
Yeah, yeah. One other thing I would say, in addition to that, and then to meetups and things like that, we have
Mhm.
our annual conference, and this last one in San Diego was amazing. I think we had 2,000 or 2,500 show up for that, and this year we're going to be in Orlando. I think tickets go on sale in March, and
Okay.
we sold out last year. So make sure you get your tickets early to that. It's a great networking opportunity. Great. I mean, the speakers are amazing. A lot of them are either podcast guests and hosts, authors, and other
Mhm.
people who are just crushing it in the real estate industry, both on the agent side and on the investor side. So, encourage you to go to things like that that only happen once in a while, but they're so worth it.
Yeah, the conference happens in the fall. Is that right?
Yes, it'll be October. I don't remember the
October.
exact date, but yeah, October will be in Orlando.
All right. Yeah, I want to remind all of the investor friendly agents on here watching, there are so many ways that you can get yourself out there. And I mean, I utilized the keyword search even on Bigger Pockets for my local area, and that's how I found a couple of local meetups that I could attend. You can do that. Put in your area, see if there's meetups, through investors that are already on Bigger Pockets, that you can go out there, you can network, you can, start building your clientele. And a great way, of course, like Nate said, is make your own meetup. And put yourself out there, go out there, work with Bigger Pockets. That is a fantastic way to build up investor clientele. We're similar too. We actually have a lot of our agent referral partners that work with us and our investors. They also are featured agents on Bigger Pockets. There is so many ways to get out there and grow your business. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much, Nate, for coming on and
Yeah.
showing us, giving us the insider tour of Bigger Pockets. The Bigger Pockets company has really just done so much as far as getting more people involved, getting, new people out there learning about investing. And again, that's how I really dove in myself, was with the podcast, and binging binging those in my car,
Mhm.
on commutes and everything. Being able to really take in uh, all that news, and all the market things that were going on at that time, which is kind of funny when it started. If you listen to like the older podcasts, and really knowing the difference between what was going on then in the market and now, it's kind of interesting. You can always kind of go back and listen to some of that too. So um,
Yeah, yeah. If you want to go back in time and listen to some of those
it's pretty,
there
yeah,
was
it's pretty crazy.
where there was like so many foreclosures available to
Yeah,
buy, and now you probably haven't seen a foreclosure in the last 6 or 7 years. So it's just kind of interesting how markets change over time. But the important thing is
for
just
sure.
over time, keep investing. If
Keep
you're an
investing.
investor friendly agent and you haven't invested yet, please do so. Like, I got a late start. I wish I would have started sooner. I think I
I
bought my
think that's
first
what all of us
property.
say.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I think I bought my first property at 35, at age 35, and now we've got 27 units. But just think, if I had started at even age 30, I could be at 100 units by now. So it's, yeah, start early, and then go buy often.
Yeah, I start now. Being an investor friendly agent, you have so much at your fingertips. So you can not only help your clients build wealth, but definitely yourself as well. So
Mhm.
definitely don't forget to build your own wealth through investing. Thank you so much, Nate. I put your email address here in the comments, so that all of you guys watching, can reach out to Nate. And I really appreciate you coming on and being our guest for today.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it, Mariah. This has been a lot of fun. So everyone, go crush it. Go close some deals.
All right. Bye.
Bye.